Alright, in this lesson we're going to talk about distributive property again, but this time we are going to work with the distributive property going backwards, okay? So we already did going forwards, and now we're going to work going backwards. Alright, so we had already talked about that there are two ways to do the distributive property. There's a video that teaches you how to go forwards, and this time we're going to do backwards. Now, going backwards, that word backwards is not the official word for it. You're going to see it called factoring out the GCF. So when you're told to factor out the GCF, that is backwards distributive property. You need to know both ways because you'll see factoring out the GCF on official tests like the EOG and map testing and other standardized state tests. Okay? Alright, so how to factor out the GCF, or how to do backwards distributive property. So what's going to happen is you're going to receive a problem that looks like this. And it's a little bit weird because your instinct is to say, oh, 30 plus 10, 40. But that's not what they're asking you to do. They're asking you to factor out the GCF and to work backwards. And so your goal is to actually create a problem that looks like the original problem of the distributive property going forwards. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay? So for step one, what you're going to do is you're going to find the GCF of the two numbers in the problem. So the two numbers in the problem are 30 and 10. The GCF of 30 and 10 is 10. So make yourself a note that the GCF is 10. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to set up your parentheses to make it look like the original format of the forwards distributive property problem. So you have a number on the outside, you have a set of parentheses, you have two numbers on the inside with an operation on the inside. The operation on the inside is going to match what's in your original problem right there. Okay, on the outside, you are going to put the GCF that you just found. That's going to be your outside number. All right. Now, step 3 is going to be the last step. What you're going to do is you're going to take your GCF and you're going to ask yourself how many times it goes into your original two numbers. So you're going to divide. So 30 divided by 10 is 3. 10 divided by 10 is 1. And then you've created your answer, which is 10 parentheses 3 plus 1. And now you have factored out the GCF. And it should look like the beginning of a forwards distributive property problem. Okay? It's a little bit weird because it's a format that you're not used to seeing, but it is correct. So let's practice a couple of those. So here we have 30 and 25. Now, I'm going to make this a little bit longer, and I'm actually going to sit here and find the GCF the long way as a quick review to practice. So here I have 5 and 5. Here I have 2 and 15. 5 and 3. Okay? So I have 5s that match, and that's it. Okay? So I'm going to set up my problem. I have a plus sign inside, so that's going to be my operation. My GCF that I just found was 5, so that goes on the outside. Now, 30 divided by 5 is 6. 25 divided by 5 is 5. I'm done. What you should do is just write it a little bit cleaner without all the lines and box it off somewhere, but that is your answer. Okay? Let's take a look at a problem with negatives now. Okay? So same thing is all you're going to do is you're going to start off by finding the GCF. Ignore the negative for now. Okay? So 16 and 10. So we have 2 and 8, 2 and 4, 2 and 2, and then here we have 2 and 5. So it looks like we have 2's that match, and that's it. So our GCF is going to be 2. I'm going to set up our lines. Inside our operation was plus, so that's what I have right here. Okay? Now, my GCF was 2. That goes on the outside. So now, what's 16 divided by 2? Well, it's 8. Well, now, I have a negative here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also make this negative. Why? I'm going to show you in just a minute. Hang on. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I'm going to rewrite this nicely. The cool thing about these problems, and what I'm going to show you why that negative was important and why it needs to go there, is that you should always be able to check your answer. Okay, so if I go back and I look at this problem right over here, if I do forwards distributive property, I should be able to end back at this answer right here. So 5 times 6 is 30, plus 5 times 5 is 25. That matches right here. Now let me try this one. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, plus 2 times 5 is 10. Okay? That is why you need to make sure that you need the negative. Because how do I make negative 16 with 2 and 8? Well, my 8 needs to be negative. Alright, let's take a look here. So I have 90 and I have 15. So 15 is 3 and 5. 90 is 2 and 45. 9 and 5. 3 and 3. Alright, so I have a match of 3 and a match of 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. That's my GCF. So I'm going to set up my lines here. This time my operation is subtraction on the inside. Okay, move down a little bit. Alright, now my GCF was 15. That goes on the outside. 90 divided by 15 is 6. 15 divided by 15 is 1. And all I'm going to do is rewrite it so it just looks a little cleaner. And again, you can multiply that back to check your answer. So redistribute that. 15 times 6 is 90, minus 15 times 1 is 15. And it should match your answer right here. Okay, here I have negative 18 minus 15. So I'm going to take 18 and 15 and find the GCF. So I have 3's that match, so my GCF is 3. I'm going to set up my lines, subtraction in the middle. So my GCF was 3. 3 goes into 18 6 times, but it's got to be negative. Okay? And then 15 divided by 3 is 5. Rewrite it so it looks a little cleaner. Box it off there. And then check your work by redistributing it back. So 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Minus 3 times 5 is 15. That's how you check your answer. Alright, let's do these two here. So we have 35 and 14. So 14 is 2 and 7. 35 is 7 and 5. Looks like my GCF is going to be 7. I'm going to set up my lines here. My operation on the inside is addition. Alright, 7 is my GCF. 35 divided by 7 is 5. Negative 14 divided by 7 is negative 2. And I'm just going to write it in a slightly cleaner way here so it looks nicer. Put a nice box around it so I indicate that that's my answer. And then always check your work if you can. Redistribute it back. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 7 times negative 2 is negative 14, which matches my answer up here. Alright, here I have 84 and 72. So 72 is 9 and 8. 9 is 3 and 3. 8 is 2 and 4. 4 is 2 and 2. 84 is 2 and 42. 42 is, oops, that's supposed to be a 7 and 6. And 6 is 2 and 3. Alright, let's see what matches I have here. Alright, so I have a 2 and a 2. I have a 2 and a 2. And I have a 3 and a 3. Because that's a 7, even though it looks like a 2. So, multiply all those together, and I'm going to get 12. So I'm going to set up my lines here. My operation on the inside is subtraction. Alright. Oops. Okay, so my GCF is 12. 84 divided by 12 is 7. 72 divided by 12 is 5. Nope, that's not right. Is that right? Sorry, 6, not 5. There we go. Okay, write it in a little cleaner method. Put a box around it. And when you can, check your work. 12 times 7, 84, minus 72. Alright, go ahead and try these 3. Alright, if you're not done, go ahead and pause the video, and if you are done, let's go ahead and check your answers. So the first one had a GCF of 7, so you should have 7 on the outside, and then 28 divided by 7 is 4, 21 divided by 7 is 3, so 4 plus 3 on the inside. Alright, and then the GCF for the second one was 12, so 12 is on the outside. 36 divided by 12 is 3. Your operation was subtraction, and then 12 divided by 12 is 1. And then your GCF for the last one is 26. Your operation was addition on the inside. So 26 goes on the outside. Negative 26 divided by positive 26 is negative 1. And then 52 divided by 26 is positive 2. Alright, that is the end of the lesson. We will do more practice in class, but make sure you ask me any questions that you have.